welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And we got a really special Christmas show lined up because this is our final show before Christmas and the New Year. And to start off, we're going to just give you some details on our holiday giveaway.
Yes, we have a great giveaway to offer one lucky listener. First off, we want to thank our contest partners, Summerfresh, for joining us again this year, and also Damien Cox, who we were honored to have as a guest on our last episode. Our prize this holiday season includes a copy of Damien Cox's new book, A League of Our Own, the story of the NHL's first all-Canadian division, and $50 in Summerfresh coupons to try all of their delicious food products. Summerfresh products are handcrafted in small batches and made with simple ingredients that can be found in your very own kitchen.
Yeah, so to win this great prize, you just need to do three things. First, you need to visit and follow our Instagram account. The handle's at LTL1917. Second, you need to like our holiday giveaway post. And third, you need to answer a question, which you can find the answer to in our last episode where we interviewed sports journalist and author Damien Cox.
The question is, growing up as a kid, who was Damien's favorite hockey player? Put your answer in the comments, and if it's correct, then you will have an entry in the contest. The deadline to enter is December 31st.
Yeah, so don't wait too long to enter. It's a great prize. I know I would want to enter it if I could, because certain people out there know I love entering contests, but I can't win this one, unfortunately. But so one other exciting bit of news we want to share is that even though our next show isn't until the new year, we do have something big that we're going to announce on December 29th. So be sure to be following us on social media. Again, it's at LTL1917 is our handle, and stay tuned for news on that. All right, so let's get into some Leaf stuff here. We've got a couple of big accomplishments for defenseman Morgan Rielly. He played in his 600th game versus the Lightning on Thursday night, this past Thursday, and he moved into fifth spot in Leafs franchise history for points by a defenseman. So congrats to Morgan Rielly.
Yes, congrats indeed. And definitely glad that he's going to be a Leaf for a long, long time. So before we get into the show, just a friendly reminder, if you have any questions or comments about the Leafs that you want us to discuss or give your thoughts on, please DM us on social media or email us at ladiestalkinleafs@gmail.com. So we have a great show that includes some Maple Leaf fun for the holiday season. So let's get into it, starting with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then we're going to roll the Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel, and we will end off with a third period where we're going to have some Maple Leaf Christmas trivia and a special poem from 1984. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
All right, so the good, the bad, the ugly. So my good, it's funny actually, it seems to be it's going to be a defense theme here, but my good is, because we were just talking about Rielly in the intro, but my good is TJ Brody, his partner on the D. So this guy, it was funny, I read on Twitter, I think it was Steve Dangle, he's like, I wouldn't even recognize his voice probably if he were interviewed by anybody. We don't even remember. Like, you don't see the guy.
That is so true.
Like, you recognize, like, if I wasn't looking at the TV or not seeing, I could recognize Willie's voice. I could recognize Austin's voice. But this guy, I don't know. I don't think I would recognize that he was being interviewed by anybody.
He just quietly goes about his business, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. And I guess that's a good thing that you don't notice him very much either on the ice, being in the defense position. But his time on ice, like it's just so consistent. Like it's around just over 20 minutes every night, and he allows Rielly to do his thing and get the points and be more offensive. And he's back there always protecting the goalie, and he's just dependable. I don't know. And and I guess his average ice time was just over 20 minutes, 20.28. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't, that's the thing. It's like, you don't know what to say about the guy and you kind of feel bad because he doesn't get acknowledged that much. Because of that, right? So that's why I chose him as my good, because nobody really talks about him, but he's definitely an important part of the D back there.
That's right. So sticking with our defensive theme, like you said, my good is Timothy Liljegren. And from what you said there about TJ Brody, I'm kind of thinking that he may be an heir apparent, because just from what I've seen, the kid is still, like, I was just looking up some things on him, and he's only 22, and he feels like he's been in the organization forever, and people are, upset that he hasn't produced or done more so far to this point. But he is only 22 years old. I think he's turning 23 in April, which is still really young. And he is just solid. And when he plays with Sandin in particular, he kind of allows him to do his thing, and he's just been making some really smart plays. He seems confident, and he's pretty poised. He's played 18 games this year. He has 3 points, and he's a +2, which I think is pretty dang good for a young defenseman like that.
Yeah, for his first time playing consecutive games too. Up here in the NHL, like that's impressive. And I find too, like when he does play with Sandin, or even I guess he's had some time with Christian Rubens because the injury situation's coming up. Like I find that these Marley defensemen seem to play well together.
Yeah.
Like as they know each other a little bit. So they
moved him around quite a bit, like last night, and like we're recording on the Sunday, so after the Blackhawks game, and he doesn't really miss a beat, So I'm pretty impressed with him overall, I have to say. And if he could turn out to be a TJ Brody type player, I think that bodes pretty well for the organization.
Yeah. All right.
So let's move to the bad.
Yeah. So the bad on my side is the 5-on-5 play in December. So I got this actually from after last night with Sheldon Keefe's presser after the Chicago game. And he's pretty much right on it. I mean, I looked up some stats in December, and we're 4th in goals against, giving up 17 goals in 6 games. But we only gave up in November, we only gave up 16 goals in 14 games. Mm-hmm. Like that's a huge difference. So defensively, you can really tell the difference. I mean, we're only halfway through. Well, we're only halfway through December now. We've already given up as many goals as we did in November on 5-on-5 anyways. So, and the stats I got from naturalstattrick.com. So it's still I guess, like Sheldon Keefe was saying, like he's happy we won the game last night versus Chicago, but it's like we're out of sync, I guess. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the D and the fact with the injuries, and we're not like Sandin. It's just, there's not, I guess, that cohesion between the defense pairings and that, it's just not there. It's not happening yet. And I mean, it's kind of expected because of the injuries. But yeah, I just think that 5-on-5 lately, mind you, like we lost to Tampa. It's like our record isn't that bad. And I mean, it's just before it was looking pretty dang easy, and now it's looking hard. Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's the eye test more than the stats. And I think the eye test usually is the thing that you notice first, that the stats will continue to erode, and then you'll see, the consequences in that, down the road. But for now, like just from watching, that's what it looks like to me. Like before, things were really clicking and it just looked easy. And right now it's not looking easy. It's looking pretty dang hard. So that leads into my bad, which is which is Justin Hall, who has struggled mightily this season. I think everyone can agree. But I think that the fact that there's new bodies and new people, I think his confidence is not good right now, and it's causing even more mistakes. So, and he's just making bad decisions and not doing some basic things that, and then it's leading to goals just because maybe he doesn't trust his partner, he doesn't trust himself, and he's just kind of making bad choices, and it hasn't looked good over the last couple of games.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to this guy for this season. I mean, I guess he was out in early November for those 4 or 5 games where Dermott replaced him basically, or Liljegren, one of them. I don't know. There were so many players moving in and out, but he sat out. Then he came back and he actually played pretty well for the first few games.
Yeah.
But now I guess with injury in that, we don't really have a choice. He has to play. And what I was thinking actually was maybe Austin Matthews needs to yell at him again, because that's basically on the bench in that. Yeah, remember in the bench in Chicago, that game on the road, he gave him a little saying wake up, basically, right? Because I guess he made a bonehead move or whatever it was. I mean,
I think that he may, not be the best at making adjustments. I think the fact that Muzzin started off not strong. Normally, he's used to having that support. That might have given him a bad start too, and he didn't adjust well to that. And then now he's got different partners, and he's in and out of the lineup. And maybe there's that fear in the back of his mind that he could end up back there in the press box where he spent, I don't know, what was it, something like 71 games or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's before he got his start. So now it's one thing to get in and stay in, but it's another thing to keep your position. So there's a lot more competition, inter-team competition for spots now, and I think it's a confidence issue, and he just needs to take the bull by the horns and do it himself, and not worry about having somebody always needing somebody to back him up, I think. So he's just going to have to work through it, but he's going to lose his position if it's
and then there's
because last night you were mentioning Keith's presser.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't mention too many players by name, but he mentioned Hall by name, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's also this trade speculation too,
for
right?
sure.
That's
so
in his mind probably as well, because his name has come up obviously because of that. But anyways, we can't do that now because we got issues on the D with the injuries. But let's go on to the ugly though, because we're gonna talk for my ugly. We're going to talk about this issue with the refs and the refs play and the player safety. And with the refs, I just find it's the inconsistency and the fact that they don't take control of the game, like in the situation like that game versus Minnesota and the game versus Winnipeg. Like they both just they got out of hand, and you just get frustrated by that. And then the player safety, basically, it's to do obviously with Jason Spezza getting the 6 games. And I really don't know what's how you were mentioning to me last night, I guess on Monday, they were going to have the appeal to reduce the suspension.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Gary Bettman is the one that has to do that. And they just had their, GM meetings and stuff like that. And so it's not being looked at all until Monday at the earliest.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just thought it was ridiculous for a player that's Jason Spezza that hasn't had this type of,
he's not a dirty player. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not a dirty player. He's had no incidents prior to this one. And he's played 1,200 games, and he's getting basically the most, there was a couple of other comparisons that were out there on Twitter from other players that have actually had a history of these things, and they even got less games. Let's just say like 3 or 4.
So I don't think anybody's arguing that it was a suspendable offense, because it was like definitely it was retaliatory, most likely, and the player was vulnerable, so he should have laid up. It's not easy to do, but it doesn't matter. If you're reckless, you should pay the price. However, 6 games seems like an awful lot for somebody who's a first-time offender and a league veteran with like a totally clear record. So I don't really understand that at all.
Yeah.
And I think they're right to appeal it, whether it works out or not.
Yeah.
At least they're making a statement and a point that they disagree. So I think that is good on them.
Yeah. And what's your ugly?
Well, my ugly, which we've kind of talked about briefly and fleetingly throughout all of this, is the injuries, because the injuries are pretty much the reason why these inconsistencies are kind of happening right now, I think. And if anybody wondered how much Mitch Marner means to our team, I think they're figuring that out now. Things just go much more smoothly and much more easily when he's in the lineup. And the same, I think you could say for Sandin also. They are just, both of those guys have a kind of magic, one on offense, one on defense. And I don't discount Marner's defensive play also.
Oh, for sure. On the PK, he's huge on the
100% on the PK, but even especially. Like, 5-on-5, we were talking about 5-on-5 play. With Marner in the lineup, that 5-on-5 play is not so bad. And so I think, it's good that we're giving some new guys an opportunity. I think that they're going to be good players probably down the road, but we just have to hold on during this time. I heard today, though, that Marner is going to be put on the long-term LTIR right now.
Yeah.
Which isn't great.
He is,
But anyways, I don't know. Maybe that's to save a little bit of dollars because we're coming up to Christmas at this point. So why rush him back? I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. So it's not the greatest situations, but all teams go through it, like they say.
For sure. And you do have to weather the storm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, with Sandin, to me look at that Pionk on Winnipeg. He got 2 games for that, for basically almost taking out his knee. He was very lucky, thankfully, Sandin was, not to be like out for the season, basically.
He doesn't have to have surgery or anything like that. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good. But on a positive, when it comes to injuries, it's nice to see Ilya Mikheyev coming back, in the near future anyways, and participating in his first full practice with the team earlier this week. And Peter Mrazek made his return last night versus the Hawks, and he did pretty well. A little shaky off the start. I was a little bit worried when he let in that first goal, but then he was dialed in for the rest of the game. So that was a positive on that. And I just, it's when Mikheyev comes back, it's going to be interesting with the whole cap situation, but we'll get into that as we go along.
Because now we're coming up to the trade freeze also. Right.
Yeah.
So
there's
nothing that can be done right now anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Marner's on the long-term injury reserve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the timing of it all. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in the weeks to come. Mm-hmm. But for now, we're going to be going to roll the Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel. But since it's the holiday season and some of our listeners might be getting together with a small group of friends. We stress small group of friends because of our situation with the whole COVID thing. But it's nice to actually be able to get together with some friends and family. So this holiday season, Summer Fresh is your holiday entertaining solution. It's the appiest time of year. I kind of like that saying, the appiest time of year. Head to summerfresh.com/appies for more information. Now let's roll the Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel.
All right. Coming in at number 3, we have team toughness. It was definitely nice to see in games versus Minnesota and against the Jets that we were showing some team toughness and sticking up for our teammates. Simmons, Ritchie, and Bunting being a pest as usual. Definitely that is welcome to see, and hopefully is a good omen for the future, because I do see some more scrimmages against maybe teams like Winnipeg, who, man, they're a dirty team. They are probably one of the dirtiest teams in the league.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
what do you
Simmons.
think?
Yeah, I like what Simmons did going after, or I think he actually, I know it was Foligno that hit Campbell in front of the net blatantly, and miraculously didn't
got
get
away
a penalty
with that too.
Yeah, yeah. Which it was just, he just bowled over him, a nice headshot. And and Simmons basically, like, next whistle, I think it was, like, he basically wanted to get at him. It was that Stanley guy, because then Paul Maurice put their fighter, I don't know what his first name is, but the last name is Stanley. But yeah, no, I like seeing that, and Richie was getting involved as well. And then Bunting, I don't know, I have to pay more attention to him, because to me, he doesn't look like he's getting under the skin of the opposing players.
He doesn't
but you don't
do much
notice
physically,
it too much.
but he does stuff. He talks. Like, if you watch, his mouth is always going, and I don't know what he's saying.
I have to watch it.
But he's got to be really smart to come up with some really choice things that get people so mad so fast. So yes, it's interesting, and definitely adds some entertainment too, because he's getting under their skin. So that's a good thing for sure.
But that's we definitely need a player like that. So yeah. So number 2 is becoming one of our favorites, actually. It's Ondrej Kase. Wow. So he missed a couple of games on the West Coast trip. He didn't play in the game versus the Sharks and the Ducks, but he has a 4-game point streak going now, including last night's game versus the Hawks. And his goal celebrations, I just think, are great. Like, he's just so exuberant.
Totally.
I don't know. I love it. Yeah.
I think his unbridled enthusiasm is part of what gets him into trouble sometimes, a little bit injury wise, because he's enthusiastic in all ways. And sometimes he seems to be a little reckless in the places that he gets himself kind of caught. But having said that, I just love how he celebrates not just his goals, but his teammates' goals when he's on the ice. It's great. So I'm really enjoying him as a player. I like that he's getting moved up, and we're getting some looks with him on the top while Marner's out. And I'm just looking forward to him staying injury free and keeping this going, because it's definitely a joy to watch him out there.
Yeah. And one thing that I do want to see happen, though, in both the case of Dick Ritchie and Ondrej Kase, the NHL has to update their website, because they still have them in Bruins colors.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's been long enough. I think it's December now. So it's like,
get with
you would think that they would, get with the program. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Who's number 1?
Number 1 on our highlight reel is the incomparable Austin Matthews. So he shaved, and now he's got this 7-game goal streak going, which was stopped, unfortunately, in the game versus the Lightning. But he just makes it look so easy. His first goal versus the Avalanche, where he was all alone in front of the net in tight, and he has these magic hands to lift the puck high up over the goalie. It's really incredible. And he also had a hat trick, which was amazing to see.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely gaining ground on the league leaders for points and goals. So, it's not hard for him to put together multi-goal games. So, they better be watching in the rearview mirror, because I think he's just rounding into form, and he's coming for them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He's only 5 goals now behind Draisaitl. I looked it up. He has 18 goals now. Draisaitl has 23.
And who would have thought? He had like a 10-goal head start on the guy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Because he's missed games, right?
Obviously, there's ebbs and flows throughout the whole season. But obviously, he's probably going to have a little bit of a rut that he gets into periodically. But it's he's looking like his old self. And he's
Yeah, he's tied for with JT. JT's been doing well too. I was tempted
definitely.
afterwards, like he's on a roll as well. I was tempted to honorable mention to JT for playing really well now, but he's tied right now, Austin Matthews and John Tavares with the team lead in points with 31, and Willie is right behind them at 30. So you can't say our top three guys aren't
for
performing like they're right up there.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So now we're going to talk about another Leaf player that got a hat trick on December 25th, 1971. And we're going to talk about that and other fun Maple Leaf Christmas trivia in the third period.
Yeah. So for our third period segment, it's the holiday season. So we dug around to find some interesting Leaf related Christmas trivia questions. And we're going to ask each other a question between me and Sil here and see how we do when it comes to Leafs Christmas trivia. So let's go with question number 1. All right. So Harold Ballard was thought of as a Scrooge by many. In 1984, what gift did Harold Ballard give to the players? So let's see if Sil gets this one. A, it's 3 multiple choice answers here. So A, a Maple Leaf gold pin. B, airline tickets on American Airlines. Or C, nothing. He was a Scrooge, in fact.
So I want to say C, but I actually think the answer is B, airline tickets on American Airlines.
All right. You're right. It is the American Airlines tickets. That I actually found that interesting because the players didn't expect it at that time because they weren't doing too well, which I'll get into a little bit. But yeah, so it was he bought them airline tickets because he loved his team, basically. He loved his players. So
aw, isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have a question for you. So the last player to record a hat trick on Christmas Day in 1971 as a Leaf. Yes, the NHL did used to play on Christmas Day. So the last person to score a hat trick on that day in 1971 was a Leaf. So who was it? Is it A, Dave Keon, B, Ron Ellis, or C, Billy McMillan?
It should be Dave Keon. But it could be Ron Ellis. I'm going to go with A, Dave Keon.
The answer actually is C, Billy McMillan.
You see, I should have taken that because it's just the unknown name too. But I mean, Dave Keon and Ron Ellis are both obviously well-known Maple Leaf players, legends. And Dave Keon obviously he's number 1 in the top 100 Leaf players of all time. So why wouldn't you think that he'd score a hat trick? But of course not. It's Billy McMillan.
Billy McMillan is the lucky guy to score on the last Christmas Day Leaf game, which was in 1971.
That's interesting. All right. And our last trivia question here, we're bringing it up to date a little bit. Going about, what is this now? 5 years ago, I guess? Yeah, 5 years ago. In 2016, who was named the best gift giver on the Leafs? So this is Austin Matthews. Just to give some context here, this is Austin Matthews' first season as a Leaf. So was it A, Mitch Marner, B, Morgan Riley, or C, JVR?
That's a toughie. I think I'm going to go with A, Mitch Marner, because he's just a friendly, bubbly guy. So I'm going to say that it's him.
Are you sure about that?
It's my final answer.
Boo. Boo. It is B, Morgan Riley. And
okay, that makes sense too.
That was kind of funny, actually, because on the video I watched for that question, it was interesting to see the players from back then with JVR and Uncle Leo Komarov. And Uncle Leo actually said that he was going to buy JVR some vitamins. That was what his gift was. And so anyhow, it was kind of fun to watch back then what what the guys were like again. Just some cool memories, anyways, from around Christmas time.
Yeah, and I think that Morgan Riley, he was just a young 22-year-old back then. So, kind of interesting that he's already kind of a wily vet back then and apparently a really good gift giver. So that's really good. All right, so go ahead.
No, he was saying, I also thought it was funny that Austin Matthews had paper plates or something, and plastic forks and knives, and he hopes his parents have corrected that situation.
Yeah, I think that he can take care of himself pretty well now, so I think he's all right.
Yeah.
So continuing with the Christmas theme, we're going to take you all the way back to December 1984. A Toronto newspaper came up with a short poem that we thought was kind of funny called Good Cheer at the Gardens. And it's a variation of a song of the season. And it goes something like this. Take it away, Chris.
All right. So I'm not going to sing, but this is the way it goes. He knows they can't stop losing. He knows they make mistakes. He knows they've been more bad than good, but he still likes them for goodness sake. And of course, when they say they're referring to Harold Ballard. And that's kind of going back to our trivia question on Harold Ballard. The Leafs weren't doing too well at that time in 1984. Their record going into Christmas was 5 wins, 22 losses, and 5 ties. Games could end in a tie back then, yes. And the Toronto newspapers were reporting every day that a shakeup was going to happen.
Yeah, that 1984-85 season was probably the worst in Leafs franchise history, finishing dead last in the league. But as we know, there is a reward to be getting the first overall draft pick in 1985, which turned out to be Wendell Clark.
Yes, yeah. So that was definitely a good thing. So the way we got this information, I used to collect newspaper clippings from games back in the 80s, and when I was going through them after, it was interesting. I was just going through them with loss after loss, and a lot of them were bad, 6-1, 7-2, and it's really unbelievable how we have stuck with this team, both of us, and a lot of Leafs Nation, obviously, out there. And it's a lot better to be a Leaf fan the last few years than it was in the 80s, that's for sure. So now let's get back to talking about our current team and the upcoming schedule.
All right. So as we mentioned off the top of the show, this is our final episode before the new year, and the Leafs are pretty busy over the next 3 weeks, starting with a trip out west in Canada next week, facing Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman and the Oilers, then the Flames and Canucks, and then ending up in Seattle on the Sunday. That's a back-to-back with the Canucks.
Yeah, and Zach Hyman apparently injured his shoulder yesterday, but he might not play. But it hasn't been anything official yet. So hopefully he'll be good to go though on Tuesday night versus when we play them. So yeah, and then the Leafs come back home after that West Coast swing, and with the exception of playing Columbus on December 27th, they'll have a few home dates at the end of December going into the new year. And then the 2 dates that we're most excited for, and most fans will be, of course, for sure, is the return of Freddie Anderson with Carolina on January 3rd. And then hopefully Zach Hyman is good. He makes his return to Scotiabank Arena with the Oilers on January 5th. So,
probably need to bring some tissues for those 2 games for the video tribute.
For sure. Yeah. And I'll also, we'll both be watching the Leafs over the holidays, and Leafs Nation will too. And I know I'm going to be enjoying some Summer Fresh hummus and dips while I'm doing that. Summer Fresh has a commitment to real food, and an important part of that is no artificial preservatives on their hummus and dips. So it's a healthy solutions that fit into your everyday.
So before we go, we want to wish all of our listeners and social media followers a happy holiday season and all the best for the new year. Don't forget to visit our Instagram account to enter our holiday giveaway contest. As we said before, the deadline to enter is December 31st, 2021.
Yeah, and until our next show on January 5th, you can stay up to date on everything to do with the Leafs by following us on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Our handle, again, is at LTL1917. And a reminder, don't miss this. We have a special announcement coming on December 29th, so look out for that.
And another way to connect with us, as always, is at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there. And if you choose to, you can also support us and buy us a coffee. Any donation goes towards us producing the show and making it even better for you. And the link to our Ko-fi page is always on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
Yeah, so we want to, as always, thank our healthcare workers as things are getting more complicated now with more variants of the virus, Omicron. I don't know what else there is. Who knows what else is going to happen, but we thank the healthcare workers for everything that they do. Thank you to our listeners, and please follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite app.
So stay safe and well, everybody, and we'll be back in 2022 for another great year of Ladies Talkin' Leafs. Go Leafs, go!
Leafs, go!